Good morning, friends. So today I am going to read this paper, very important paper, augmented reality based gesture classification, a data-driven analysis using MetaQuest 3 hand tracking. So it's very important. So I'm going to start it. Before starting, I want to show you something. You know how I am reading this paper. I am reading this paper while cycling. You can see. You can see here. Here you can see the road of IIT Jodhpur. I am cycling and reading this paper. You can see the whole environment of IIT Jodhpur. This is a forest area of IIT Jodhpur. Very quiet area, nice area to focus and study this paper. So I'm going to start the paper. Okay, now. Okay, so going to start it. So starting from the title, augmented reality based gesture classification, a data-driven analysis using MetaQuest 3 hand tracking. Okay, the authors are Danila Janstova, Department of Mathematics, Informatics and Cybernetics, University of Chemistry and Technology, and Jacob Thoms, Department of Mathematics, Informatics and Cybernetics, University of Chemistry and Technology, and Jan Maris, Department of Mathematics, Informatics, Cybernetics and University of Chemistry and Technology. Okay, now going to start this paper from here, starting from abstract. So this feasibility study investigates the use of standalone augmented reality AR headsets for gesture classification as a foundational component of sign language translation systems. A dataset of 5 distinct hand gestures was collected using the MetaQuest 3 headset, capturing 3D point rotation via the WebXR API in both single user and multi-user settings. In the single user setting, 100 recordings were captured for each of the 5 gestures. Okay, and in the multi-user setting, gesture data was collected for 20 individuals, each performing 5 gestures with 5 repetition. A complete processing pipeline was implemented for data processing, labeling and analysis. Feature selection combined principal component analysis (PCA) and with importance score from random forest RF classifier. Gesture classifications was performed using standard machine learning models, namely random forest and support vector classification, random forest RF and support vector SVC. So in the single user setting, RF achieved 99.26% accuracy and SVC received 98.51%. So in multi-user setting, random forest achieved 95.90% and SVC 95.55%. So these results demonstrate that AR-based hand tracking offers strong potential for robust contactless gesture recognition. Nevertheless, further research is required to evaluate its suitability for real-world assistive communication technologies. Okay, so keywords here are gesture recognitions and recognition and rotational data, random forest, support vector classifier, and hand position classification, and machine learning and multi-subject variability. Okay, now starting the paper by introduction. So virtual and augmented reality AR/VR technologies have seen a rapid increase in adoption across various fields. Okay, including not only entertainment but also medicine, education, and assistive technologies. VR applications have proven effective in medical training, phobia treatment, and enhancing motor and cognitive function in patients. And furthermore, VR plays a significant role in rehabilitation and physiotherapy and enabling precise movement tracking and exercise simulation. It has also been successfully applied to reduce and perceive pain during medical procedures such as extensive burn dressing. In this study, we explore feasibility of using VR headset to capture and automatically translate sign language. People with hearing impairments often face substantial communication challenges due to the fundamental difference between sign language and spoken or written language. And various technological approaches have been proposed. The sign language recognition, including camera-based system and variable sensors such as accelerometer and photo philosophrographic and wrist sensors, as well as specialized gloves with integrated motion tracking. Despite promising results, many of these technologies remain in research stage, are costly or pose usability issues. Okay, now find VR technological combined with machine learning and particularly large language models offers a promising alternative for sign language translation. Some existing applications utilize systems like leap motion to track hand movement. Although this approach provided a relatively good technical solution, and as of use, these technologies often impose physical constraints on signers, limiting their natural movement or even preventing the execution of certain signs. Furthermore, they cannot track facial expression, which plays a crucial role in some signs. Okay. So next, the use of standalone VR headsets such as Meta Quest 3 enables head tracking without requiring additional external hardware, opening new possibilities of contactless and intuitive sign language recognition. By leveraging machine learning method, this technology has the potential to accurately classify signs and convert them into text or speech in real time. Although current devices face similar limitation in facial expression recognition, there is a potential for future in facial potential for future generation of headset to address this issue by incorporating better facial tracking. This feasibility study aims to provide an initial assessment of this approach. Specifically, we evaluate the capability of an AR-based system to capture and classify simple gesture while analyzing inter-user variability. The goal is to determine the technical feasibility, accuracy, and robustness of this method as a potential tool for sign language translation. Okay, now methodology. Starting from methodology, the gesture recognition workflow includes data acquisition with VR headset and gesture labeling and data pre-processing and feature extraction and classification. Now next, gesture recording and data collection. Starting from the first point, gesture recording and data acquisition, data collection. Gesture were recorded using the Meta Quest 3 headset in augmented reality AR mode, which superimpose virtual tracking point on participant hands and provided real-time visual feedback. Meta Quest 3 was selected for its availability, affordability, built-in hand tracking, and AR mode. Other devices may be considered in later stages for more complex signs. The WebXR Hands API captures positions and rotation of 25 skeletal points per hand. Now it's time for see the diagram. Figure 2, recording interface screenshot. You can see very beautiful recording interface screenshot. And now I'm going to take a break. I want to drink water. Okay, I am drinking water from this bag. Hydration bag. This is called the hydration bag. I will drink water. No, now going to start the paper again. So participant initiated a session by interacting with a virtual green cube, which activated motion recording. They then performed a series of 5 gesture prompts and ended the recording by pressing a red cube. The gesture prompt used in the study were simple, universally recognizable hand signs, not directly derived from formal sign language. Especially the 5 gesture included thumbs up, like. You can see thumbs up or thumbs down, dislike, or okay sign, okay, and waving, bye, and cross finger. These were selected for their different distinct finger distinct finger and wrist orientation, which aid in evaluating the recognition capabilities of AR-based hand tracking. All capture motion data, including the position and rotation of hand points, were stored in centralized database. Data collection was conducted in two phases. Two phases it was conducted. The first phase was phase 1. A single participant recorded 100 repetition of each gesture. Okay, a single participant recorded 100 repetition of each gesture. 20 participants each recorded 5 repetition of the 5 gesture. Okay, yielding a total of 100 recordings. Okay, so total 100 recordings were there. 20 participants each recorded 5 repetition of 5 gesture, yielding a total of 100 recordings. Okay, informed consent was obtained from all participants. You can see the diagram. 5 recorded gestures. Okay, like this one, thumbs up, or like, thumbs down means dislike, and gesture 3 by excellent, or the other. Everything. First participation 20 participants and 100 repetition was there. For 20 participants 5 repetition was there. So 100 records and 100 records. For each one participant 100 repetition, 100 records. 20 participants 5 repetition, 100 records. Okay. So 20 volunteers, mixed gender, ages 19 to 30, each perform 5 gesture prompts. Okay. And repeating each gesture 5 times, resulting in 25 recordings per participant. Gestures were presented in random order to maximize bias. Participants were unpaired and provided informed consent. The number of recordings were chosen to balance obtaining a representative sample with minimizing recording time and ensuring participant requirement feasibility. Now gesture labeling. After recording, 1 minute. After recordings were saved, a custom web-based labeling tool was used for manual annotation. Each recording was reviewed to mark and the start and end timestamp of every gesture. An appropriate label, that is example like gesture 1, was assigned. The annotation process generated a JSON metadata file containing the temporal boundaries and class labels for each gesture. Annotated recordings were then made available as GIF archives. That's what we always do. Each archive included a folder per recording containing a CSV file with 3D positions and rotation of hand key points along with corresponding JSON metadata. So, metadata pre-processing and feature selection. A processing script automatically extracted GIF archives, past CSV and JSON files, and segmented raw data using annotation metadata. Segmented gestures were stored in level-specific folders to prevent data leakage. Datasets splits were done before segmentation. So I'm going to silent it. Okay, fine. And to prevent data leakage, dataset splits were done before segmentation. For the single subject dataset, splits were performed at the recording session level, ensuring no session segments appeared in multiple subsets. Now it's time for moving for multi-subject data. Splitting was done at the subject level to avoid cross-set contamination. Only rotational data of hand key points were retained due to high inter-subject variability in positional data. No normalization was applied. Rotational features remained in heads coordinate space, and the gesture sequence were sliced into frames and reshaped to remove the temporal dimension, enabling use with frame-based classifiers. So no additional pre-processing or noise filtering was performed. Raw data from WebXR or API were used as it is. So next, processing environment and libraries. So the data processing pipeline was implemented in Python. Leveraging several scientific computing and machine learning libraries to facilitate data handling, visualization, and analysis. In particular, NumPy and Pandas were used for efficient numerical computations and data manipulation. while Matplotlib and Seaborn enabled high quality data visualization. And for statistical analysis, signal processing, SciPy was employed in the machine learning domain. Skitlearn provided tools for dimensionality detection. Example PCA, LDA classification. Example random forest, support vector machine as SVM. Okay, and performance tuning using standard scalar for normalization and grid search CV for hyperparameter optimization. Learning strategy and evaluation setup. This study employed supervised learning to train gesture classification models after manual annotation, and segmented it and labeled rotational data were used to train a random forest and support vector machine classifier. These two models, random forest and support vector machine, were selected due to their complementary properties. Okay, there are two complementary properties. And RF is an immiscible method that is robust to overfitting and provides interpretable feature importance. SVM in turn can model complex non-linear decision boundaries, making it suitable for classifying classifying nuanced hand gesture. The data set was split by participant. 10 subjects were used for training, 5 for validation, and 5 for testing in the multi-subject setup. In the single subject experiments, splits were done at the record level. SVC model minimizes the hinge loss function, while the RF classifier uses Gini impurity as a splitting criterion during tree construction. Cross validation was not used in this initial phase due to computational limitation, but will be explored in future work. Okay, now hyperparameter tuning. So model hyperparameters were optimized using grid search with validation set. The parameters grid for both models was shown in table 1. Future work will include border model comparison such as RBF kernel SVM or Guardian boosting. The grid search was performed on a train validation test split where 10 subjects were used for training and 5 for validation and 5 for testing. And for single subject experiment, recordings were stratified to maintain consistent proportion across training and test samples. You can see here the table 1. This is model SVM poly, hyperparameter kernel C gamma degree class weight. The values tested are linear, RBF, poly and sigmoid. The values are 0.1, 1, 10 and 100, increased by proportion of 10. Multiply, you can see. And scale auto 0.001, 0.001, 0.01, 0.1 and 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5 and balance and none. And you get the random forest. Here are hyperparameters are n estimators, max depth, min sample split and min sample leaf, max features, class weight, you can see here. So the value tested are 1, 10, 50, 100, 300 and none, 10, 30, 50, 2, 5, 10, 20, 1, 3, 5, 7 and square root log 2 but no balance. Okay, now the results coming for results. So here are the results. You can see data analysis. An exploratory analysis was conducted prior to training classification model to examine the internal structure of the data set and evaluate the potential benefit of dimensionality reduction and feature selection. The original data set comprised both the spatial positions and orientation rotation of key points. Preliminary experiments revealed that the positional features, due to their high inter-subject variability, did not meaningfully contribute to gesture separability. In contrast, rotational features were consistent and discriminative, and thus only these were retained from further analysis, effectively halving the data dimensionality. Okay, and principal component analysis PCA was then applied to the complete set of rotational feature. A feature where average across sample to form fixed length vector suitable for statistical interpretation as presented in table 2. The first principal component accounts for only 17.2% of the total variance, and the subsequent components exhibit a gradual decline in their individual contribution. So you can see the table 2, the 10 most significant component in PCA analysis and their explained variance. You can see the component has given 1 to 10. You can see the explained variance from 17.2 is decreasing to 11.5, then 8.5, 7.3, and you can see 3.2. Notably, the analysis identified over 2,000 components, emphasizing a complex, high-dimensional structure in which discriminatory information is distributed widely. The variability drops for its 50 components is illustrated in figure 4. You can see in the figure 4. This indicates the discriminatory information is distributed across many dimensions, suggesting entangled class structure in feature space. As a result, low dimensional. You can see the figure 4 plot of first 50 PCA components is decreasing. You can see the component number. As you increase the component number, the expected variances is decreasing. You can see. Okay, now I am completing the sentence. As a result, low dimensional projections are unlikely to yield clear class separation, and more complex models are needed to capture the non-linear relationship. This also limits the potential for interpretable features representation. Furthermore, a random forest based feature importance analysis indicates that the most informative features stem from rotational data related to finger and wrist orientation. No significant redundancy or irrelevance subsets were detected that would warrant additional dimensionality reduction. Based on these results, the dimensionality was reduced by retaining only the rotational features, while no further reduction performed in order to preserve the discriminatory information necessary for subsequent classification experiment. Now, classification in this study, two models, the random forest, you can see the random forest, and a support vector machine SVM were evaluated to both single subjects and multi subjects, and hyperparameter for both models were optimized using grid such selecting the parameter then yielded the highest validation score. These models were chosen based on their complementary strengths, RF robustness and interpretability, and SVM's ability to handle complex non-linear decision boundaries, while grid search provided a comprehensive selection of parameters. It was not cross-validated at the stage due to computational constraints. As a result, the potential for overfitting or selection bias exists. Future work will involve varying these parameters using cross-validation for a more robust performance estimate. Okay, fine. Okay, starting in reading the single subject classification. In the single subject classification scenario, both models demonstrated excellent performance. The random forest model achieved a test accuracy of 99.26%, while the support vector machine contained less than but is 98.51%, some percent less. The RF model, which max depth, the RF model with hyperparameters such as class weights equal to balance, max depth equal to 10, and n estimator equal to 100, outperformed the SVM, which originally was constrained with a polynomial kernel, but during grid search, the best configuration was found using an RBF kernel in its optimal setup. The SVM had high parameters C equal to 0.1 and degree equal to 2 and gamma equal to 0.001. Most misclassification were observed in gestures like thumb down or thumb up, that and 5. Thumb down and 5, finger crossed, not thumbs up. Thumb down and finger crossed. Gesture 2 was particularly sensitive to small variations in thumb's position, while gesture 5, this cross finger, involving subtle finger crossing, prove more challenging to track accurately. What is it doing? Subject classification. In the multi-subject classification task, both models experience a performance decline, which aligns with the increased variability across subjects. The RF model achieved test accuracy of 95.90%, while SVM reached 95.55%. The performance drop was less pronounced for RF, suggesting that its robustness to inter-subject variability may have contributed to its slightly better performance compared to the SVM. The best hyperparameters identified through predefined cross-validation for RF model were class weight equal to balance and max depth equal to none, max features equal to log 2, and min sample lift equal to 3, and min sample split equal to 10, and n estimate is 50. And for the SVM, optimal parameters were C10, class weight balanced, and degree is 2 gamma, and scale and kernel equal to RBF. Okay, so although initial approach considered a polynomial SVM, and grid search relevance revealed that RA 1 minute how I can do. I will just stop it because it's not now starting it again. I was here. Superior radiation performance. Now, although the initial approach considered a polynomial SVM, the grid search revealed that the RBF kernel achieved superior validation performance. This outcome underscores the importance of systematic hyperparameters optimization, as the final selection model might differ from the initial assumptions. Okay, now despite the optimized by parameters, the grid search results suggest a potential risk of overfitting, and as the validation scores were higher than the test scores. Okay, the discrepancy suggests that the selected models might not generalize perfectly to unseen data. Therefore, future work will involve validating these results with cross-validation to reduce the uncertainty in hyperparameter selection, comparison, and observation. Now, table 3, you can see summarize the performance of both models. Expected classifications was more consistent in the single subject scenario, while multi-subject data introduced additional variability. Okay, you can see the table 3 summary of the RF and SVM polynomial kernel performance. You can see that single subject and multi-subject, their model accuracy, balance accuracy, and F1 square you can see. Now you can see the next error, point number F, error patterns and gesture specific performance. Okay, upon reviewing the confusion matrices for both models, several patterns emerge regarding gesture specific errors. In general, misclassifications were more dispersed in multi-subject scenario compared to single subject due to increased inter-subject variability. Okay, you can see both models perform exceptionally well on gesture that are more distinct, such as gesture 1 thumbs up. Okay, this gesture was recognized almost perfectly in both settings, like due to its simplicity and distinctiveness. And gesture 3, open hand. Okay, similar to gesture open hand, gesture 1, the open hand gesture showed consistently high recognized rates. Okay, and however, further investigation may reveal that while it performed well, some recognition challenges could have arisen in certain multi-subject cases. Now, gesture 4, the peace gesture. Okay, peace gesture, although not specifically detailed earlier, the results indicate that the peace gesture was identified with very high precision and recall in both the single and multi-subject scenarios. Okay, now going for however certain gestures pose challenges in both classifiers. Now gesture number 2, thumb down recognition performance for their gesture was adversely affected by a minor angular deviation in thumb positioning. Okay, in particular recorded points 1 minute. So starting it, gesture 5, finger cross. This gesture holds the most difficulty for the subjects. They reported issues with performing the gesture accurately, and it was visually evident that its execution was more problematic compared to others. Furthermore, it was challenging for the headset to track overlapping points on the fingers, leading to frequent misclassifications. As a result, gesture 5 was classified the least accurately across both the single subject and multi-subject scenarios. These observations underscore that while gestures with clear distinct steps, example gesture number 1, 3, 4, thumbs up, open hand, or please robustly recognize, those that depend on precise finger or thumb positioning like down and the finger cross are more susceptible to tracking inaccuracies. These conclusions are also visible from the matrix configuration in figure 5 with where the classifications are clearly deficit, particularly for gesture 2, thumb down, and the 5 finger crossed. The patterns in confusion matrices further highlight the challenges in recognizing gesture that they rely on precise finger or thumb positioning. The table number 4 provides a detailed analysis of gesture specific performance matrices for each classifier. These metrics, precision, recall, and F1 score, show how well each model classified individual gesture. Raw counts may not directly align with matrices in table 4 and 5 due to global aggregation. Now conclusion. This analysis revealed that for classification tasks, Robertson data alone proved to be sufficient for gesture recognition. However, further simplification to data were found to be less optimal. You can see the classification result for individual gesture like thumb up, thumb down, open hand, peach gesture, and finger cross. You can see the precisions, you can see the recall, F1 score, and support. So I was completing the sentence that however further simplification to data were found to be less optimal. We experimental with standard classifier, specifically rotational random forest and support vector classified SVC, and optimal hyperparameters were identified using support vector classified SVC, and optimal hyperparameters were identified using grid search with training validation and test speed. Unfortunately, unfortunately the resulting model showed signs of overfitting as evidenced by the validation accuracy reaching 100%, while the test accuracy was significantly lower. Specifically, the RF model achieved a test accuracy of 99.26% in the single subject scenario, while the SVC model that you can see achieved 98.51% in the multi-subject scenario. The RF model achieved 95.90% accuracy, while the SVC model reached 95.55%. To address this, future work will involve cross-validation to better identify the optimal hyperparameters and mitigate overfitting. The results for RF and SVC were quite similar, with neither model overperforming and the other in terms of overall accuracy. However, a notable improvement in classification performance was observed when using data from a single subject, where you can see where both models performed exceptionally well. In contrast, multi-subject classification led to a drop in accuracy due to the increased variability among subjects. Although the models exhibited variability in performance across different subjects, this variability was not substantial, and the models were still able to accurately recognize simple gestures despite the inter-subject differences. This suggests that the models may be robust enough for further exploration with more complex real-world gesture. While deep learning methods such as convolutional, 1 minute, what you can say, the conventional recurrent neural networks, CNN, these are the CNN networks, are considered state of the art in gesture classification. We opted the traditional machine learning due to the limited dataset size and need of interpretable fast to train models in time sensitive or data scarce scenarios. Classical approaches such as SVM and random forest can offer competitive performance with lower computational overhead. However, future work will include benchmarking against DL models to assess potential gains in performance and generalization. In future work, we plan to apply the models to real sign from the CZJ case sign language, aiming to classified hand position. The long-term goal is to combine these classifiers with large language models (LLMs) to create a sign language translation system, effectively turning hand gesture into forth of communication and potentially aiding in real time. So you can see translation for CZJ. Beyond simple classification, we aim to directly integrate gesture recognition outputs with LLMs to enable more natural, context-aware human-computer interaction. This approach could allow the system not only to recognize sign but also to interpret their intent in a broader conversational context and generating meaningful textual or spoken responses. So acknowledgement are this research was supported by specific university research program under grant number A2F CHI 2025-024. The references you can see, lot of references you can see. Now the paper is ended now. This is the last page of paper. So thank you so much for watching. Now I will summarize it very soon. Let me open the notebook LM, okay? So going to summarize it. So this research paper evaluates the feasibility of using MetaQuest 3 headset to identify hand gesture as a foundation for future sign language translation system. Researchers utilize the WebXR API to collect three-dimensional rotational data from 20 participants performing various hand movements. By applying machine learning models like random forest, support vector classification, the study achieved high accuracy rates in both individual and group testing scenarios. The analysis found the rotational data specifically provides sufficient information for robust recognition without the need for external sensors or gloves. While similar signs were identified with nearly perfect precision, complex movements involving overlapping fingers presented greater technical challenges for the hardware. Ultimately, the author suggests that standalone augmented reality devices offer a promising contactless platform for developing real-time assistive communication technologies. Okay, so going for this, this paper presents a feasibility study on using the MetaQuest 3 augmented reality AR headset for hand gesture classification. The overarching goal is to explore whether standalone AR headset can serve as a foundation for contactless and intuitive sign language translation systems. So the researchers recorded data using the headset's built-in hand tracking WebXR Hands API, which captures the positions and rotation of 25 skeletal points per hand. The study involved recording 5 sample gesture: thumbs up, thumbs down, weighing, OK sign, and cross finger. Data was gathered in 2 pages, a single user setting, one participant performing 100 repetition of each gesture, and a multi-user setting, 20 participant performing 5 repetition of each gesture. For data processing, the team discarded positional data and relied strictly on rotational data, which proved to be far more consistent and discriminative across subjects. They then trained random forest and support vector machine classifiers. The models perform remarkably well, with RF achieving 99.26% accuracy in a single user setting and 95.90% in the multi-user setting. While the study proves that the strong potential for AR-based gesture recognition, it also highlights that overlapping fingers like this or precise angular gesture like this can cause tracking inaccuracies. Okay, relevant the questions and answers that can be made from this are: first, the relevant question that can be asked is, why did the researcher only use rotational data instead of positional data for classification? So first A point, during preliminary analysis, researchers discovered that positional features possessed high inter-subject variability that did not help in distinguishing between the gestures. Conversely, the rotational features were consistent and highly discriminative. By dropping positional data, they successfully helped the data dimensionality without losing the crucial information needed for classification. Now, how did the multi-user setting impact classification accuracy compared to single user setting? Classification accuracy declined slightly in the multi-user setting due to the increased physical variability across different subjects. So in the single user dataset, the random forest model achieved 99.26% accuracy and SVM achieved 98.51%. When expanded to 20 different subjects, performance dropped to 95.90% for random forest and 95.55% for SVM. Despite this drop, the researchers noted that the models are robust enough to accurately recognize gesture despite inter-subject differences. So, which gesture were the most difficult for the system to classify and why? So, both models struggled with gesture number 2, thumbs down, and gesture number 5, cross finger. The thumbs down was highly sensitive to small angular deviation. The recorded digital point often failed to replicate the true angle of the user's thumb, creating a sharper angle than in reality, which led to misclassification. Okay, now cross finger proved difficult for subjects to perform consistently, and the headset struggled to track the overlapping digital points of the fingers. Gesture with clear and distinct steps like OK sign or thumbs up will recognize much more robustly. Okay, what are the long-term goals of this technology? In the future, the researchers plans to apply this classification model to real hand position from the scale science language. The ultimate vision is to combine these classifiers with large language models (LLMs) to create an intelligent system capable of real-time translation. This would allow the system to interpret not just individual signs but the intent within a broader conventional context and generating meaningful spoken or text responses. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe my channel if you haven't subscribed, and share this video with all friends. I'm doing a lot of effort while cycling. I read this paper, and you can sitting at your room, you can share with your friends. And thank you so much. Okay, going to end this video. Bye.